Okay, switching gears just a bit. So, we've had conversations about I think it was in the past more smaller types of organization or groups, schools, parents, communities. But in recent times, salute to Hollywood and salute to Jason Lee. Arkansas, the state, I guess, filed a lawsuit against YouTube, claimed it is damaging kids' mental health. So, Arkansas has filed a lawsuit against YouTube and its parent company, Alphabet. The lawsuit accuses the platform of contributing to the mental health crisis among the state's youth. It claims that the platform's addictive nature has led to the state to spend millions on mental health services. Interesting. I'd like to, and they probably wonder what evidence they would present for that. The lawsuit filed in Arkansas state court accuses YouTube of violating state laws related to deceptive trade practices and public nuances. Nuisance or nuances?
Nuisance.
Oh, okay. It alleges that the platform exploited children's dopamine. I mean, responses by exposing them to harmful content. The lawsuit states that the youth mental health problems have increased along the growth of social media, particularly YouTube. Although the lawsuit does not specify the dollar amount in damages, the state is seeking a court order requiring YouTube to fund prevention, education, and treatment programs to address excessive social media uh, use among children. Google, which owns YouTube, has denied the allegations in a statement, providing young people with a safer, healthy experience has always been the core of our work. In the collaboration with our youth mental health and parenting experts, we build services and policies to provide young people with age-appropriate experiences and parents with robust controls. The spokesman, Jose, the spokesman of their
Sonata.
company said. The lawsuit also claims the YouTube algorithm directs children towards inappropriate content, including adult material, and facilitates in the spread of child abuse material. Jesus. Well, we always make sure we specify our content is not children appropriate, but if you if you're ever looking for content for the young ones. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, I think we've seen cases like this. I think there has been lawsuits made against social media platforms like TikTok as well, and it just seems like I don't know if there's been any. I think for a fact there's been no decisive court victories against any of these social media platforms by any of these groups thus far. It is interesting to see that there's definitely a fight that continually goes on. Um, just with the concept of some of these more social medias, including just the video and streaming platforms are harmful to young people. So pardon me. So I think again we might have had similar topics, but I'm kind of curious to know what you guys think. Even more so than this, what would you guys say? There's a couple questions I have regarding this. What would you guys? Do you guys? Would you guys say a platform like YouTube as expansive and like when we think of YouTube? I mean, I don't know what people think of, but YouTube is like anything and everything all at once. Like YouTube is like not just one particular piece of content. YouTube is pretty much everything. So
It's
do you
the
guys
internet.
exactly basically would you guys say that YouTube is inherently harmful? I guess we'll start there. What do you think, guys?
Um, yeah, I see where this lawsuit is coming from. I don't I don't think so much from the perspective of the content on the platform as much as the way the platform is set up in and of itself and the addicting nature or the way it like um caters to the addicting nature within people, like the dopamine response type thing. I think that I completely understand that. So yeah, that's like where I would side with this lawsuit. It's more so just the addicting part of it.
You know what's interesting? I can definitely understand how social media in general is addicting, and like I've acknowledged in the past, even I took steps to make sure I'm not necessarily getting too it's lost in the sauce of social media. I always make sure there are some days where I just fully separate from social media, and I think scrolling actually is can be harmful in some manners, but I don't know if I would say I get dopamine hits from going through YouTube. That's interesting, but also I'm not a young kid either. Um, what about you, Ghost? Do you is that click to you that a platform like YouTube is inherently harmful?
Um, yeah, I mean, on a base level, it's it's a video watching platform, so you can say like if there's nothing wrong with the videos, then there shouldn't be anything wrong with the platform. But like Ace was saying, some of the practices and like the way things are set up, like the shorts and your recommended videos, it's kind of designed and catered to, at the end of the day, make them money, which means in keeping you engaged as long as possible, which can be kind of predatory in a sense, but I think it's kind of a slippery slope to just come out and say that, oh, YouTube is at fault for kids uh the content that kids are consuming when it's like literally the internet.
It's
It's
pre-
it could, if it's not on coming from YouTube, then it's coming from a different platform like TikTok or uh Instagram, Snapchat, all the other different forms of social media, which YouTube isn't exactly social media, but the videos themselves, YouTube isn't making them. So I guess that's where things get a little shaky. But I kind of understand conceptually where they're coming from.
I would say YouTube is social media.
That's
Obviously,
fair.
the
Yeah,
way
at this point, yeah.
the definition of social media has probably gotten a little bit more liberal in these day and age. But you said something. Oh yeah, you would say it's
Predatory.
predatory that a business wants you to engage with that business or platform as long as possible. Isn't that
Yeah,
just natural?
maybe.
Isn't that just natural business practice?
Yeah, I guess predatory might not be the best word. Trying to think. It's, I don't know, opportunistic. I don't know if that's the right. It's like at the end of the day, they're really just trying to keep your attention by any means possible, even if it's detrimental to your overall mental health or
Hmm.
your the way you allocate your time. So yeah, predatory maybe isn't the right term, right phrase, but they're doing all that they can within legal bounds to keep you from doing stuff that may be better for you. Is what it boils
Hmm.
down to. But yeah, predatory has kind of a negative, very negative connotation that I don't think is applicable, but it's in that same vein.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can actually still understand what you're saying. Um, yeah. Well, I still think there could be cases made that, and maybe I'm just me too big as offender since I feel as if you look at my phone, that's the app I spend the most time on. But it's I don't want to make it myself. I don't want to make it seem like there's like any like what's the word, not like justification to it, but I also feel like a lot of the times if people or feel as if when people are using YouTube it's just like in the background, to be honest, but maybe that's just myself. um would you guys say that YouTube is one of, if not the most harmful form of social media, or what would you say is, in you guys' knowledge or experiences, the most harmful social media application? Spin it back, what do you think, Ghost?
Uh, well, you said the first question was if you think YouTube is the most harmful.
Yeah.
Um,
Or you think it's another one?
I think
You
like
got your
exploitative and
you got your
harmful.
IGs, your TikToks, your Twitter X's.
Yeah, in terms of like, I guess the way I would
X.
define harmful, yeah, X. The way I would define harmful is mostly like related to like children because they're the most susceptible to picking up stuff they see on social media. Is they see content that is not age appropriate and that encourages them to act in a way that they shouldn't. So with that in mind, I would say Twitter or X or whatever is definitely the most harmful because I don't think there's good age restrictions on it. You can see all type of insane, wild stuff in both posts and in the comments, responses, and that will just like completely catch you off guard. And I don't even know if Twitter has parental controls, which again, kids shouldn't be on Twitter regardless. But even if you have some type of controls on, it will
Yeah, that's
like
the parental
you'll
controls.
be you'll be in
You
like a
gotta
random sports thread on
you
Twitter,
gotta
and then you
look
look
after
in the
them.
replies, and then some unbelievably
It's just
wild.
straight up porn in there,
Yeah,
like in the
it'll be
reply. It's
like
just
just
bam, like
I'll have to like literally close the app. I'm like, what the f is that? Because it won't even be related. It is that this even
awful.
beyond like just straight up pornographic content. There's like violent stuff that you'll see. Like, oh, you saw someone get his hand cut off on Twitter. Like, it's not that far out of the realm of possibility. But
You are not capping. I would say like, and that's kind of grim. And as I get older, I kind of understand how crazy it sounds. But I probably not in this day and age, but there was a time period where I definitely saw somebody like a person die every day, and Twitter slash X was definitely a
It's,
contribute. It would definitely contribute to that.
yeah, so
it's
I mean, with that in
crazy.
mind, I would say Twitter. I don't know if you consider 4chan social media, but if you did, then
Yeah,
that
no,
would be
definitely.
the top of the list because I think that platform actively encourages you to be a bad person in whatever way. If it's racism, if it's oh, I'm gonna shoot up a school, they will literally encourage you in your post replies to do it. I'm gonna kill myself, and people just sitting there laughing. Like I think that's the worst, but that's kind of like I wouldn't
Nobody's
classify it
using
as like
that
full on
anymore.
social media because it's like a very niche cesspool of the internet. But yeah, YouTube I wouldn't classify on that level. It can be very addicting, more addictive than maybe other platforms, but it's not going to just show you the raw level of bad stuff that the other platforms would.
Hmm. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not too terrible fortunate. I always thought that's just where all like conspiracy theories originate. um, what about you, Ace? Would you say YouTube is like high on the level of most harmful platforms, or would you say there's another social media app that kind of takes a cake as far as the most harmful social media apps?
Um, I mean, Ghost points like regarding Twitter and the how just so easy it is to see nonsense on there is like I agree from that standpoint. And also like the only social media apps that I really use are or yeah, have used are Twitter, YouTube and Instagram. I've never really used TikTok, so I just looking at posts people send. I mean, links people send. But so I can't speak on it. But to me, like because YouTube has been like personally, I've had issues dealing with how addictive YouTube is, and it's also like kind of subversive almost because you don't really think of YouTube as a social media app per se. So like it can feel a little bit like I don't know, less to me anyway, it felt like less of an issue as opposed to just scrolling through people's people's Instagram feeds or things like that. Like it still felt it's for with YouTube it can still feel like um your time isn't necessarily being wasted because like you may be I don't know watching content that seems to be more I don't know fulfilling or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because of that it can be just as easy to get addicted to just sinking time into watching content that otherwise like you wouldn't even put time into looking up. Like you just end up, you know, scrolling and then just watching whatever comes up on a whim. You watch a video, then you look at the suggested video, you watch the next video, next thing you know, you lost an hour and a half. And then the other thing I found too is that like when I have used YouTube for long periods of time like that, my it can even affect like my attention span for um like reading or even doing work. Like I'll find that I want to um uh like focusing on one thing versus bouncing between different things, like the that's also can be a negative effect of like just scrolling through shorts repeatedly. um and
You
you know, when
said
I stop.
you said
Oh, go
that via
ahead.
scroll. You said that via scrolling through shorts. Reverses scrolling through
Yeah,
shorts.
yeah, it's definitely influenced by it, or
Mm.
has been influenced by it. And you know, when I stop using YouTube in that way, it's almost like I can immediately see the difference in terms of like my productivity and my ability to focus on things. So it to me, like the addictive nature of it is almost just as important as the ability um to see harmful content, just because of what it can, like how it monopolizes your brain is 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 very I think is a very like serious thing. And then I'm what 32 years old. Now you think about, you know, kids, teenagers using the app who aren't even really too worried about, you know, their attention span or things like that, or even thinking about these type of things. You know, of course it can be more, even more so like of an issue. I mean, I don't know if it's worse in terms of like, you know, the brain developing versus being fully developed, but just from the standpoint of being young and growing up with like that being your norm.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, there's a serious problem with that.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. The only thing is, I don't know, and it's obviously just like the way we interact with some of these things. Because I definitely don't even mess with the shorts and stuff like that unless it's like someone sends it to me or whatever the case may be. But you know, I don't know, it's interesting. I feel as if like when you just go into it with the I don't want to say intent, but the mindfulness of just like for me, I just consume for one usually more longer form content, and two specifically content from like the specific content creators that I am interested in with interacting with. I think that's how I kind of um go into that experience and not necessarily. I mean, obviously, who is to say
Yeah.
like I can't like I haven't like psychoanalyzed myself to see like what the difference is without that. But uh yeah, all these things could have I just don't necessarily I just don't necessarily know if that I'm getting a negative impact that you're describing from the platform.
No, yeah, I agree. And I think like the way you use YouTube is the way that um I try to use it, like now especially now that I'm more cognizant about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I only go on there if I have something that specific that I actually want to watch, not
Yep.
even necessarily to check in on um channels that, I know probably posted. Like it's pretty much got to be something specific at this point. And then also like I think I showed you my YouTube, like I have a blocker on it now to not show any suggested
Oh yeah, you
videos.
did say that.
Yeah, and even like the homepage is just blank. Like all it's really used for is being able to search a video. So I can still like go on the platform and use it, but yeah, I have found like my tendency to want to watch more content just for the sake of wanting to watch it has significantly decreased because I'm like intentionally trying to just use it for the purpose of watching specific videos when I need to. Um so I mean, it just sounds like, you have naturally been able to avoid like because you're not using the shorts and things like that or watching the shorts. Um, you've just naturally been able to avoid like getting sucked into that cycle of just watching content just for the sake of watching it. Like when I look back and just think about times I've just sat there and like watched YouTube for an hour and a half when it's just like nonsense content that I wouldn't have even given the time of day if I actually if it wasn't suggested to me. It's like the waste.
Yeah.
Absolute waste of time.
Yeah, I don't think any. Well, I know none of us are perfect for that. Well, it's not YouTube. There are definitely times where I get that same thing from like Insta. It's just like you're just going
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just going through it all, and even though there might be some content that on there that you generally have some vested interest in, like digging into, like sometimes like as you guys already know, I get stories from Insta, and that feeds into like larger conversation and things that I can deep dive on. Sometimes it's just like going down uh, rabbit holes and things that it ends up you look at the time and a substantial amount of time that you probably don't
Right.
want to have to go into that goes into that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
I don't know. My 2 cents is I definitely, especially kind of hearing the perspective of this post. I think the content is a big driving factor for what's contributing to potentially mental health issues. I think because I don't know, and again, I'm no full scientist in this department, but I wonder if you took like the scrolling element or the content element, but it was all like educational content. Like what if somebody's YouTube algorithm was just like especially for kids, like a bunch of Bill Nye, what's that? Like National Geographic content. Like it was just all educational. Do you guys think it would still have a negative impact? Like it doesn't sound like that would be the case. Like it was literally
Yeah.
math tutorials, what Khan Academy videos. like I don't know. I
I
think
think like you could still get caught in the time wasting aspect, but if it was like only educational content, I think that would be a lot better versus what is the
Yeah.
case now
and I
with
think
It
this
might be
generation.
better, but I don't know for sure. Like to me, the problem seems to be just doing things without intention. Like I
mm,
think that's really what it boils down to. And if your platform encourages that by having type um the short type uh content, short reel, whatever, then I think that might be the issue.
mm,
Because
yeah.
again, like to me, one of like losing my attention span, like or ability to focus, that is not that's not trivial by any stretch of the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So even if like a short, even if the shorts that I was watching were educational, if the result was the same, then I would say it's still a problem. So I haven't tested that. Obviously, I haven't tested it to see like, okay, if I somehow altered my algorithm to only show me educational content, would it still be okay? But somehow I doubt that it would be a good thing. I still think that monopolizing somebody's time in that way, just like YouTube's goal is only to keep you engaged for their profit, like at
All
the at the
businesses,
at the
but
end of the day. So with that being the goal, I don't know. I doubt that it would make a difference in terms of that, like in terms of people's uh um ability to again focus and yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with like the shorts thing. It can definitely be. That's why I'm pretty anti TikTok and just like that repetitive content, and it just it's never ending of this new like short form burst of content. The only thing it's not necessarily to like push back, but I wonder if like cause like you're saying, it's something literally messes up your like your ability to like pay attention for a period of time or hold your focus. That definitely could be consequential. But I guess just sticking with this like example that I don't know how much testing has gone into in general. I wonder what if they would say somebody is mentally damaged, so to speak, if they were less likely to hold their attention on one particular thing for a long period of time, but they are more knowledgeable in different aspects of life, especially ones that have some level of application like math or like language
Yeah,
or
yeah.
all these different things. So yeah, I definitely I'm genuinely I don't know if I can give a definitive answer um if that's damaging. But one direction I was gonna go because I was sticking on the content. I think the content is an important factor because to be honest, and seeing this, I think we're definitely gonna see these type of lawsuits pertaining to streaming services because if we're talking about things that are harmful to youth, I love the streamers. You guys know that I probably watch streamers these days more than I watch any other form of content. Um, there are I think streaming as influential and impactful and as crazy as some of these streamers are getting. I was just watching a streamer talk about how like the meta of streaming these days is turned into like one, it's more IRL content, but it's also like kind of like extreme. Like you just have to like be going up and down the street like annoying people and pranking people and doing all these kind of weird IRL gimmicks and even maybe getting yourself hurt or banned or whatever, doing something that's ban worthy. Um, I think a lot of young people are consuming that content, and I think that's leading them down like the brain rot avenues that we hear about. Um, so that's if I were to if I were to say like what social media that's a social media element or a social media that's harmful, I would say it's like again, I salute to the streamers. I guess this is an example like and not my streamers, but like the Twitches, the kicks. I think these are like pretty harmful to especially the young folks. Um, and don't even get me started if there's a gambling element of the streamer content. Then you're just effed up altogether. Um, but with a lot of these topics related to social media and the impact it can have on people's mental health and especially youth, I think it's always gonna just fall back on, and it can, and I say it's gonna fall back on, but these days, and I guess we're gonna be in that hot seat and eventually one day, but being a like I generally don't know if it does. I mean, obviously it's just a matter of put restrictions or manage the devices that they have hold of. But it is not easy to just say, hey, make sure your kids aren't on social media that often because it's damn near a facet of uh like life in a way in which we just didn't have access to when we were kids. So
Yeah.
I definitely had empathy in that vein. Like I
And
don't
one
know.
thing I will say too is I do know YouTube used to be a lot worse in terms of like specifically like baby content where the the videos were created were disturbing to say the least. And it would like look like children content for children, but it
Oh, I know what you're
very much
talking
wouldn't
about.
be. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
YouTube cracked down on all that stuff. They're
Yeah, right, right.
because people
So
were making a fuss about it. They were like, "Hey, my kid is literally consuming like stuff that's I wouldn't even consume. So what's going
right,
on here?"
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
YouTube cracked
I
down.
think they got better. And I don't know if like for this lawsuit is part of that older stuff like kind of bleeding into it too. Um but yeah, that's kind of what I was saying for me to in terms of YouTube it's been the addictive nature more than the content as far as what I've seen recently.
Yeah, I definitely think about for myself like what type of content I would be super receptive to my kids consuming, like on a YouTube platform when they're at that age to be able to sit down and watch that stuff. I don't know. I don't know what the meta is gonna be like in that day and age, but yeah, you definitely have to. I mean, I guess it just, but it's not. Well, it's not just as simple as saying, "Hey, be mindful about it." It's definitely, it just takes as much work as harmful as the thing could. That's, yeah, put as much work as the thing that could cause harm could cause, basically.
And there's also, I will say, there's also some good too with the children's content, just based on some of the stuff my niece has been able to learn and recite back in terms of like ABCs and things like this. Like there can definitely be a benefit to, but it, of course, is the responsibility of the parent to um not let it become something where the kid is getting um addicted to it or whatever,
That's the
too too
that's the other
reliant on
crazy part. I would say that kids these days are more intelligent because of technology, and social media is a part of that. Like,
it.
like the like the fact that a infant could even understand going on a social media app and what that means, or going on a YouTube app and what that means to go on there and you'll be able to find videos. That's just something like the brains and use of former times couldn't comprehend. You know one thing you know what I was gonna ask, kind of uber random, but they always talk about the damage social media can cause, the damage you cause when you watch too much TV or play too much video games. Dude, is it possible to, I don't know, yo, are there books that make you stupider? Like,
Nope.
are there brain rot books? Is
Nope.
that a thing?
You just said nope.
I think it'd be manga low key.
No, I'm talking about,
Nah, nah.
I'm talking about no pictures, just
Real books.
straight up words, diction.
I don't think it's possible,
Yes, Ghost. Come
bro.
on, for sure, for sure.
They,
Oh, this,
I'm gonna need an example.
this,
I'm gonna need some
oh,
type of example, like genre, a
I
series.
mean, like these romance joints that are just being pumped out. I feel like a Colleen Hoover is an author that I know people are
Oh,
kind of decrying right now. Um, one of
oh,
her books just got
okay,
made into a
yeah,
movie recently.
I guess,
hey, just that
yeah.
quick, you flip, go.
I forgot about that whole entire.
and I guess, and I guess just because I am kind of generally curious to know in what way would a book
But even then, I don't.
make a person.
Yeah, like it's definitely like as far as like lowbrow content and whatever.
Yeah, yeah, right.
What
But is it?
is
Oh,
it
oh, you're saying
really
it's not
making
necessarily
you
harmful
like
though.
a like I'm assuming because I don't read Calling Hoover,
Hmm.
but I've heard of but assuming like the demographic is just mostly females that want to read something spicy, to put it
Yeah,
lightly.
yeah, yeah.
Is that really like brain rot or is it just like kind of entertainment in a way?
I
Like
guess,
when
yeah.
I say brain rot, I like is it making you dumber? Is reading Colleen Hoover like Twilight is like the OG, and I actually read one of the Twilight books. It was
Mm.
definitely dumb. I wouldn't say it like it made me dumber, unless it's like a kid reading it, like a preteen reading it that like has their views on romance distorted because of it. Maybe, but I don't. I
But
wouldn't
yeah,
say
that's
like
gonna happen regardless. Like kids views on
yeah,
romance.
like if you're an
So
adult woman reading Colleen Hoover, bro, I don't think you could say it's brain rot. Now that I think about it, I don't I,
I guess you're right in terms of the stuff that's popular. Like I'm sure there's extremist stuff out there, but I don't know it well enough to be able to to be able to name something off the top of my head.
what I know everyone hates on Ayn Rand. What's the one book? Atlas Shrugged.
I never read that.
Maybe
I still
that
have to read that actually.
yeah, I haven't read it, so I can't say for certain. But the way people talk about that book, they say that it's might be the equivalent of brain rot, but
Mm.
again, haven't read it, so I couldn't say. Until then, I don't know, bro. I don't know if I could say there are any brain rot books. Books are just that
I
great of
yeah,
a form of media.
I certainly haven't consumed a brain rot book ever.
Fair enough. Yeah, just kind of a random question. If that really is true, like maybe like somebody that's like a professor in literature could maybe expound on why that is. But if that is the case, then I guess even though books law, I guess part of the equation is always make sure that people, especially young people, are getting a good dosage of reading.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm trying to think like what would be the equivalent of like a streamer doing foolishness on the street, but in a book. Like you wouldn't even read it, so that's the problem.
I mean, yeah, you guys are way more avid reader than me, myself, and probably the average person. So if you guys can't imagine it, then I don't know. Um, but if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. This is definitely a topic I'm pretty sure it won't be the last time we bump into something like it.